The roast. In 1756, the French philosopher Voltaire dropped one of the most savage roasts in intellectual history. He wrote that the massive entity in the heart of Europe, calling itself the Holy Roman Empire, was in no way holy, nor Roman, nor an empire. And honestly, he had a point. For most of its existence, it didn't have a single capital city. It lacked a centralized government. It was a shifting, decentralized confederation of hundreds of duchies, principalities, and free cities. Yet despite being called a monstrosity by contemporary political theorists, this bizarre political experiment didn't just survive, it dominated Central Europe for over 1,000 years. So, how did this massive puzzle box of an empire actually work? To find out, we have to go back to a very awkward Christmas day. The accidental coronation and empowered empresses. On Christmas Day in the year 800, Pope Leo III crowned the Frankish king Charlemagne as Emperor of the Romans. Now, Charlemagne didn't actually set out to build a millennium-long empire. He was just trying to secure his own Frankish reign. But this single act birthed the concept of translatio imperii, the idea that the supreme authority of ancient Rome had been transferred to a new Germanic protector of the Catholic Church. After Charlemagne's dynasty fractured, the imperial title officially crystallized in 962 with Otto the Great. Otto reunited the German and Italian crowns, but he didn't do it alone. His wife, Adelaide of Italy, was a political force of nature, recognized as consort regni, a literal co-bearer of royalty. Adelaide used her immense wealth and Italian alliances to co-rule the empire and stabilize the throne, and the empire's early history is packed with these power players. Adelaide's daughter-in-law, Empress Theophanou, was a Byzantine princess who served as sole regent. She was so politically audacious that during her rule in Italy, she signed legal charters using the masculine title Theophanius, Imperator Augusta, literally ruling as a male emperor. Excommunications and kidnapping drama. By the 11th century, the Salian dynasty took the reins, building Spire Cathedral as the ultimate flex of imperial majesty. But then came the investiture controversy. Essentially, the Pope and the Emperor got into an absolute imperial beef over who had the right to appoint church bishops. When Pope Gregory VII excommunicated Henry IV, the Emperor's noble vassals rebelled. Henry was forced to make a desperate trek across the Alps in 1077, kneeling barefoot in the freezing snow outside Canossa Castle for 3 days, begging the Pope for absolution. The drama didn't stop there. During the regency of Henry's mother, Agnes of Poitou, political rivals saw her as an easy target. In 1062, in an event straight out of a Hollywood thriller called the Kaiserswerth Coup, the Archbishop of Cologne literally kidnapped the 12-year-old King Henry IV right off a royal barge on the Rhine, stealing the imperial regalia to hijack control of the state. Barbarossa, shields, and the Golden Bull. In the High Middle Ages, the legendary Hohenstaufen dynasty pushed the empire to its absolute geographic peak. Leading the charge was Frederick I, famously known as Barbarossa because of his blazing red beard. Barbarossa spent decades waging war in Italy to assert his imperial rights. Right by his side was Beatrice I of Burgundy, a highly capable empress who wasn't afraid of a fight. Beatrice personally raised an army of 1,200 Burgundian knights to reinforce her husband during the siege of Crema. When an ambush caught them at Pontremoli, she reportedly armed herself with shields to charge through a rain of arrows. But keeping Central Europe organised by raw force was exhausting. So, in 1356, Emperor Charles IV decided to codify the rules of the game with the Golden Bull. This landmark constitutional document established a fixed electoral college of 7 prince-electors, 3 archbishops, and 4 secular princes, who would officially elect the King of the Romans by majority vote. This formally split the concept of the Kaiser, the emperor, from the Reich, the empire, the Habsburgs, and the ultimate underbite. By the 15th century, the powerhouse house of Habsburg took hold. The Habsburgs had a legendary foreign policy motto: "Let others wage war. You, happy Austria, marry." Through brilliant strategic marriages, they accumulated a mind-boggling amount of territory spanning from Spain to Hungary. But there was a catch. To keep their massive lands strictly within the family, the Spanish and Austrian branches of the dynasty intermarried almost exclusively among themselves. Over generations, this turned their family tree into a closed genetic loop. The physical signature of this endogamy was the famous Habsburg jaw, an extreme underbite combined with a sunken midface. This culminated in 1661 with Charles II of Spain. Charles had an inbreeding coefficient of 0.254, making his parents, who were uncle and niece, more genetically related than actual siblings. Charles was severely disabled, could barely chew because of his protruding jaw, and was completely infertile. When he died at age 39 in 1700, the Spanish Habsburg male line went completely extinct, sparking a massive European war of succession. Conclusion: the long goodbye. By the 18th century, the rise of powerful states like Prussia and Austria inside the empire's borders created a tense domestic rivalry. The devastating 30 Years' War had already carved away territories like Switzerland and the Netherlands. The final blow, however, came from a certain short-statured French general. In the early 1800s, Napoleon Bonaparte swept through Europe. He forced a massive consolidation of the empire's territories, abolishing dozens of small states, and created the French-controlled Confederation of the Rhine. Realizing the imperial system was completely dead, the last Holy Roman Emperor, Francis II, abdicated the throne on August 6, 1806, and formally dissolved the empire. A millennium of imperial history vanished in a single decree. So, was Voltaire right? Maybe. But even if it wasn't Holy Roman or a centralized empire in the modern sense, the Holy Roman Empire was a remarkably durable legal and political framework that kept the peace in Central Europe for 1,000 years. What do you think? Was the Holy Roman Empire a brilliant model of decentralized cooperation, or just a beautiful historical mess? Let us know in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next chapter of history.